What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. I am your down bad, down horrendous, down atrocious host, Numac, and joining me for another embarrassing podcast about the Packers losing is Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how are you doing, buddy?
I am doing well considering the circumstances.
Wow.
Yes, I have resigned to this fate. I almost want to plan a funeral for the 2022 Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Just have a nice little cheese spread. Talk about the good times. Talk about the many bad times that continue to pile up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been bad. Talk about times of yesteryear when Aaron Rodgers could put a ball where he wanted to, a time when they'd actually run the ball with purpose. Just talk about the good times and not an embarrassing loss to the now 2-6 Detroit Lions. It
Yes,
wasn't good,
that is.
folks. I'm sure you watched it, and I'm sorry if you had to watch it like me and Jordan had to. A 15-9 loss to the Detroit Lions in Detroit, and there wasn't a whole lot to take from it. So we'll go through the drives and the stats real quick, but it's gonna be quick.
Yeah.
The game started like how the rest of the Packers games have started this year, with the defense not being able to stop a team on their first drive for the most part. But to their credit, the Lions drove pretty far down the field, 9 plays, 55 yards, and got to the Green Bay 7 yard line. And the Lions went for on 4th and 1, didn't get it, turnover on downs. Hey, turns out to be a good start. What we thought.
Set the tone for the day.
Set the tone. Packers take over at their own 7, obviously. 13 plays, 88 yards. We're on the precipice of scoring. Detroit 5 yard line. But what else would you do than throw a football right into somebody's helmet, Jordan? For then an interception.
Not the first time that Aaron Rodgers, not the second time that Aaron Rodgers has done that this year.
No.
Too.
We'll start weaving this thread carefully. It was a low pass that hit a guy in the helmet. Interception. So it's gonna be a lot like this, folks. Ensuing drive, Packers defense shows up again. 3-and-out, -7 yards. Packers. 7 plays, 47 yards at the precipice of scoring at the Detroit 1 yard line. And what play do the Packers draw up but a short pass to David Bakhtiari, the man who you don't even know is going to play some weeks. He's questionable week to week. Like there's sometimes they don't know on Saturday if Dave Bakhtiari is going to play, and we'll talk about this later as to whose play it probably was. But they send out Dave Bakhtiari to catch a pass where he can let him block.
Not even just that. The throw that Aaron Rodgers made was incredibly awful.
It was so bad.
Running backwards, throwing it completely off of 1 foot, completely. His gravity is facing this way, and he's forced to throw it the opposite direction to, again, an offensive lineman who ended up not playing the entire second half except for the final drive.
It's incredible. Like you said, Rodgers was throwing off his back foot and backpedaling in the first place. Bakhtiari was also backpedaling. I don't know if there's ever a play in football history where you have 2 people backpedaling that finishes well. Like it's beyond a stretch of the imagination. As we know, Hayden Hutchinson intercepts it in the end zone, touchback, Lions get the ball back, punt, turnaround on downs from the Packers, which is incredible. Like they just don't have anything in short yardage for any of this. Also, before we keep going, I feel like I'm in hell with going from Mike McCarthy to Matt LaFleur and when it comes to 4th down. Mike McCarthy would never go for it on 4th down.
Well,
like he just wouldn't.
There's a constant here.
There is a constant, and like he would never go for it on fourth down and would like kick the field goal or punt. Like Mike McCarthy more so on the coward side of the fourth down, like the whatever that punt thing is on Twitter, that one Twitter account that's run by a
Oh,
bot. It's like this is the one of the like 99th percentile of cowardly punts in NFL history, whatever it was.
yeah.
Like sometimes you just need to take the points, and if they take the points on their 2 turnover on downs, it's 15-15. Like they don't have to drive the end of the game. They can field to win the game at the end of the game
In a dome,
in a
too.
dome. And hindsight's 2020, but at some point you got to put points on the board, right? Like you can't just keep driving 70 yards to drive 70 yards to get no points out. You have to put something on the board. And
Yeah.
so they end up uh, turning it over on downs again, and then uh, that they turn it over at the Detroit 38. Then the ensuing drive for the Lions was great. 8 plays, 61 yards. They had all they wanted on that drive. And they end up going for 2 because of, in my opinion, a absolutely BS horrendous roughing the kicker call. Like
Yeah.
that was the definition of a flop by the kicker. Like I get why the rule is there and it's to protect them, but there's got to be some common sense sort of utilized when calling that play because that play happens so often and they don't call it. Like it's just
Yeah.
it was stupid. And so they end up going for 2. You couldn't have had on the actual touchdown a more wide open tight end to catch it, and then Jamal Williams just went right up the middle to get.
Wait, you can draw a tight end to.
Believe it or not, if he's the last guy in the line to be taken,
Also, I believe a practice squad guy that they elevated to the 53 man
I
roster that
believe
has
so.
ties to the Packers tight end
I
that's
didn't know
on the
that
practice
much.
squad or something like that.
I didn't know that much.
Yeah.
Shane Zylstra, I've never heard of him, so alas.
Congrats, Shane.
Congrats, Shane. Alas, 8-0 going into halftime. It's already bad. Like the vibes are in the sewer. Coming out of
Yeah.
the second half or coming out of halftime, punt immediately. And then one of the very easy, like one of the only highlights, Jair Alexander flashes in front of Amon-Ra St. Brown for interception. But those good feelings would last for exactly all of 2 seconds, as then Rodgers gives it right back on an interception, um, deep intended for Robert Tonyan, and is just
Double covered
yeah,
too.
it's a great
I had
play.
no
Like
I had no
Kirby
idea.
Joseph made a great play,
Great game for him
but
before
we'll
he got
talk
hurt.
about Rodgers in a minute. We'll talk
Yeah.
about him in a minute, and that's half the
Hold me
reason.
back. Hold me back, Numac.
Hold my earrings. Hold me back. So then somehow, some way, it doesn't bite us. 3 plays, like 3 and out. Again, defense did its job. Like we're we're not gonna have a lot to say about the defense. At least I won't. Like
No.
I have a couple single player takes, but and coaching takes, but overall the defensive unit was very good today. Um, they 3 and out. The Packers get a touchdown. Or they drive the field after the punt, and uh, Alan Lazard hauls in a relatively nice catch after dropping a few earlier. Like I had a problem with Alan Lazard today. He had 87 yards and a touchdown on 4 catches, but man alive, he had 10 targets and a lot of drops in there. Like ESPN's box doesn't tell you drops in it, but I would bet he had at least 2 or 3. One for sure on a critical fourth down play when he just couldn't go to the ground with it.
Yes.
Like these are the
Yeah.
kind of things we're talking about when why Alan Lazard can't be a wide receiver 1 right now. He just doesn't have the capability or the ability to because he's just not making these plays. Like a Devonta Adams, a Tyreek Hill, a Debo Samuel. I can go on and go on and go on. Make that play falling to the ground. He didn't. He hasn't. It's just a lot of drops and a lot of critical moments um for Alan Lazard. I feel like I'm talking a lot and driving a lot of this stuff. Do you have anything to say, Jordan?
No, I thought he did it resembled the Packers game where it's like he got a lot of action, got in the end zone for their lone touchdown, but there were no one had a spotless game, no one had a flawless game, and Lazar did everything he could, but yeah, there was some glaring things from his
Right.
performance.
Yeah. So then they go for 2 because they have to. It's
Yes.
at that point it's 6-8 before the 2 point conversion. 2 point conversion was god awful. Rolled like
Throw it to Lazard.
yep. They had uh Rodgers roll out immediately from the shotgun snap, which is never a good play going for two. Like you don't get all the offense flowing into a corner of the end zone, wherein all the defense is in that 10 yards span. So then Rodgers loads Lazard, Lazard drops it. Would have been short anyways. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. 6-8. Uh, ensuing drive from the Lions. They
Which
go
is just
down.
a hilarious football score.
Yeah, it's Lions drive 70 yards, 13 plays, tick 5 minutes off the clock. Um, Score a touchdown, I believe, to another no name tight end.
James Mitchell,
James Mitchell picked him up in fantasy, then started him. Let's go.
after they traded TJ Hawkinson away earlier in the week.
Yep, who also had a really good game today.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's 6-15. Packers get a field goal, 9-15, and then it was just bad the rest of the way. The last drive was so bad. They had first and 10 at the Detroit 17 with 55 seconds to go and all of their and two of their timeouts. No, all their timeouts. I apologize. And
Two.
nope, they had all of them.
Oh, they burnt. Yeah,
They used
that's
they
right.
they burned the one after
They should have got
AJ
another
Dillon fumbled out of bounds.
delay game.
Yeah. So timeout, and then they run 4 plays, all in the end zone. Makes no effing sense. Like you have 50 seconds to get 17 yards. Why not just get the 10 yards to touchdown? Why are you throwing it in the end zone? You have time and timeouts to burn. Run the ball. Like at this point, Aaron Jones is already out, so maybe don't run the ball to AJ Dillon, but do something, right? Do something to make it worthwhile and not just take 4 shots to the end zone when at this point Romeo Dobbs is out, Christian Watson is out, and you just don't have the dynamic receivers that you needed to do um to get to score the ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the game. And then take Lions take kneels. That's it. One kneel, I think maybe two. Doesn't matter. They lost 9-15. Box score is ugly. Despite having his most throwing yards on the season at 291, Rodgers has 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown with a QBR 25. Great
Most
stuff.
attempts too,
Yep.
which
Is
very emblematic of
yep. We'll get to Rodgers. We're gonna talk about the offense
hold me
as a
back.
whole right now, and then we're gonna have a Rodgers discussion because it's been
Yeah.
overdue. Not overdue, but it's been due to really tell him what's what. This and also ridiculously, Aaron Rodgers, leading rusher on the team, scrambling all over the place today. Wish he'd scramble like that the entire season. There was times he definitely could have and just didn't. So I don't know why it took 9 games for him to get into this scrambling mode that he's in, but he is now. 4 carries for 40 yards, all on scrambles, no design runs, obviously.
Yeah.
AJ Dillon, 34 yards on 11 carries. He didn't have a good day. Mostly because they just didn't give him a chance, really. Like, once Aaron Jones went down, who had 9 carries for 25 yards, they really just went away from the run altogether. And then Kylan Hill got 1 carry for 7 yards, so good for Kylan. Nice to see him back, and he had a good run. Why wouldn't they just keep running the guy who got a 7 yard carry each more times, Jordan? Maybe you could have some reasoning to tell me, but I actually don't know.
I don't know either.
So then like we said earlier, Al Lazard, 4 receptions for 87 yards and a touchdown. I didn't care for his day much at all. I think it was relatively poor despite the yards and the touchdown. I want to talk very briefly about Josiah DeGuara. He's doing a lot of good things. Like I feel like every time I see him on the field and in the like on the screen, essentially, he's doing something good. Whether it be run blocking, pass blocking, or just catching the ball when he needs to catch the ball. Really good stuff. So like I'm excited to see if he actually is turning into something positive. So
Same. Always liked his skill set and what he could deliver.
mhm.
Had a few couple. His rookie and sophomore years are kind of marred by injuries and some pretty terrible ones at that. So
Yeah.
the fact that he's finally making some progress and getting on the field and being productive in those snaps are very encouraging, despite everything else that's going around the Green Bay
Yeah.
Packers.
Yeah, he caught all 5 of his targets today. So
Yeah.
good on Josiah DeGuara. I'm really glad to see something come positive out of this. Like He might get a cheese. I don't know if he will, but he might.
He
Probably
might.
not, because it's not a lot to get a cheese. It feels
No.
like you're using baby hands with them. But regardless, um, Samari Toure, who I'm also really excited about, like we'll talk about this a little later, possibly on Thursday when we do like a season ahead thing, or maybe this off season. We'll talk about it eventually. But Samari Toure is good. He fits, which is weird saying knowing where I'm going later in the pod. He does a lot of what Rodgers wants to do as a receiver. He runs the scramble drill really well and
Yes.
makes a lot of great adjustments on balls in air. Like his longest reception was that 32-yard catch, that clutch catch at the end of the game, where he ended up fumbling out of bounds, thankfully. But like the adjustment he made on that catch was incredible. Like found it in the air, turned around, caught it, and had the presence of mind to get back up and keep trying to get more yards.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that next time, knowing the situation. But like he's a rookie, a seventh rookie at that. You get at the point.
Yeah.
So really excited about what he has to bring and for the future of his career.
Yeah. For sure.
Bobby Tunyon, three catches, 29 yards on 4 targets. Christian Watson got hurt again. It really sucks for him, man. I like at this point, I think you just shut him down for the season, let him get healthy for next year. Like 2 concussions in 2 weeks, his hamstring injury, a season going nowhere. Like I would just let
Also
him.
forgot I forgot that before the announcers mentioned it, I forgot that he had missed all of training camp because he had knee surgery too.
Yep.
So just like that kind of just always there's a lot of things that are unrelated, but when you just put it all together, it's like, oh, it's been
Yeah. But
marred from the start.
yeah. So I think it might just be best to shut him down. Like I really don't. I really hate to see it end this way for him this season. But like the season's not going anywhere.
No.
I don't want to see him injure himself more just to be on the field. Like that's part of what made the beginning of the season so tough for him was that he couldn't get on the field during preseason and training camp to get those reps in. But at this point, like you're running the risk of gaining more and more injuries each week to where it just hampers the rest of his career. Like 2 concussions in 2 weeks is already a very bad start. Like I really
Yeah.
hope he's doing okay. And they just kept him out because of protocol reasons and not because he actually was concussed. But man, like scary. Like we saw what happened to
Yeah.
Tua
Yep.
because of it. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Nothing much, too much else down the receiving score sheet. Aaron Jones, 2 catches for 20 yards. Big dog, Mercedes Lewis, 1 catch, 19 yards. Romeo Dobbs, 1 catch, 18 yards before he sprained his ankle. Um, then AJ Dillon, 2 catches, 10 yards. Sammy Watkins, 1 catch, 9 yards. Stephen David Bakhtiari's name on the receiving chart is infuriating me right now. It's so stupid, dude. Um, so that's all the stats. Let's talk about the defense. Well, no, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Part of the reason they lost this game was one, Rodgers' carelessness with the ball, which we'll talk about in a minute. But also, they just had such poor like ball security and like focus, if that makes sense. Like 3 interceptions and then an AJ Dillon fumble, which we recovered, and then or one out of bounds, and then a Samari Toure fumble, which then we recovered however it worked out. Like that's just you can't have three, four for sure turnovers and then 2 fumbles. Like that's just being careless. Like it just this thing just can't happen and work towards winning football.
I mean, not even just that. Yeah, you're already down bad. Anytime, any game that you find of someone a team that's gonna win with 5 turnovers,
Right?
it's. I don't think you're gonna find many of those
Not a
examples.
lot.
I would also throw in here, not to the same detrimental things, but it just kind of adds up to the undisciplined nature of just what we're seeing now.
Yep.
8 penalties, 81 yards. I know you brought up that Jair Alexander.
Yeah. This will be our segue into the defense talk.
Um, he also contributed to that touchdown drive with that just boneheaded,
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary roughness play. When the guy was clearly already out of bounds, so you take like it was. we saw that last week against Buffalo, where it's like this stuff just it is emblematic of a team that is frustrated. We're in the midst of losing the fifth straight game. I understand that
Yep.
happens. Everybody gets frustrated, but it's like when this stuff can add up and be even more detrimental and eventually be one of these things that separate between you possibly winning and possibly losing.
Right.
That is what, just kind of, I don't know. I just felt like it was that. And even, I know they got burned with that roughing the passer play by Enagbari, who's
Yeah.
I have been really
Really impressed by him. He's
impressed
doing
by.
very well.
But there's another one that I'm missing in my
Yeah,
Rolodex
there
of
was
just
another
things.
penalty in there that really killed him.
Yeah, and it's like it's stuff that just like you cannot as as a slide continues, it's gonna just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And it just like I don't know. It's just
No, absolutely,
it sucks.
absolutely. Um, I'm gonna touch on your gyro point in a minute, and just the general penalty plagued, the dumb penalty plagues that we've been experiencing lately. The defense overall, I think, played very well today. I should say very well. They didn't play bad, but I think they played good, played
They
well.
kept them in it.
They kept them in it essentially. They they have a lot of talent in spots. Like I think they're doing like well that way. Like that, the talent isn't the problem. The problem is the coaching. Like Joel Berry needs to go. Like it's actually a problem at this point because if you they're so poorly coached that you have like your highest played player in defense and the highest played corner in the NFL throwing a guy out of bounds for a 15-yard penalty and then taunting the fans afterwards. Like I don't want to get on like this big high horse about not having fun playing football and taunting or whatever else. Like I'm all for it. Like have fun, have confidence, be that sort of braggadocious bravado type personality you need to be as a cornerback because wide receivers and corners in general are just psychos in like just typically anyways. But you're in the midst of a 4-game losing streak and when you need to win a game on a play that you clearly were wrong, and then to have the presence of mind to do it, draw the penalty, and then act like cool about it because you drew the penalty. Like, no, that's just awful coaching. And Jair knows it. Like, Jair knows he shouldn't do that. It's stupid. But where the difference is that you have to have a coach that's willing to be on their players' butts when they do things like this. And Joe Barry just isn't. I think the defense has lost all confidence in Joe Barry. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jair Alexander was the first person to do it because when he wasn't put on Justin Jefferson week one, I think that started this whole snowball of
Yep.
having a poor defensive season and a poorly coached defensive team, I guess, is what
Yep.
I'm trying to say. Like I think he's out on Joe Barry and I would rather them just fire him now. Like why wait to the end of the offseason? See if somebody else on the team can do it, and then go find someone else who can do it and hire the right person this time.
Yeah, I mean I think this is the start of a lot of
Tough
conversations about
decisions.
tough decisions and just like what value is there remaining in this season? Because
Well,
there's nothing
we're gonna get there.
salvaging. Yeah,
I
thank
have
you. Thank you.
we have some things to talk about.
Also, I will so they I had this thought and then they showed this freaking graphic during the game. I'm probably gonna reference the game a lot just because it's very fresh in my mind right now. They showed all these headlines about the defense looks so dominant during
Oh,
training camp, and oh they're going to carry them to a Super Bowl again. These are all during August,
right.
and then in my mind I go, well that makes sense. They're going up against the Packers offense, who scored 9 points to a Lions defense that
Historically
was
bad.
that was allowing 30. Let me have this because football reference is not updated everything yet. 32.1 points per game,
it's
the worst mark in the NFL. And as you said, an historic amount of points being
it's actually
lost.
insane. Like we both said on the preview that this game would be the game to get right, and they just couldn't.
If
Like
anything, they look. I
they
don't.
looked worse. They
They
looked
looked
worse against the fucking
worse.
Lions than against the fucking Bills, who also lost this week. But it's
Yes, they
insane.
did.
One of them is a Super Bowl contender. One of them is trying to tank for a new quarterback, whether it be Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or whoever.
I
And he
are
can't
they
do it.
interested in one Aaron Charles
I
Rodgers?
literally was thinking today, I'm like, could you give the Lions a second and just ask like the Lions, like, what's your price for Aaron Rodgers? Like he might lead you up your first playoff for it's like 10 years. Like just give us a pick. Like I don't care what it is.
Then they'll say like, we'd rather have love.
Then fine, trade him Love, trade Rodgers to somebody else, and draft a whole new lot of quarterbacks. Like if that's gonna be the case, I don't know. It's
Put David
we're
Bakhtiari behind
the
center.
the uh
He can be put on any point of the
oh my
field, you know?
god.
Put him behind. He's going to be up the gut, 10 yards, first and 10.
That's the top 8 pick in the NFL draft, Green Bay Packers to you. If they keep losing, they might have a
Oh,
chance to draft the top quarterback. Could you imagine? Could you imagine, Jordan? If they took 2 quarterbacks in 4 years, one of them doesn't play more than like 3 games. Oh my lord. Anyways, to get back to the defense, to touch on Jair for a minute, I feel like outside of all this stuff, I feel like he's so feast or famine. It's
yeah.
a little ridiculous. There's weeks he does very well. Last week was a perfect example of that. Like smothered Gabe Davis, played really well. This week he had so many boneheaded plays that it cost him the game. Like he had the penalty I already talked about. He feasted with the interception, and then on one of the fourth down plays to like end the game, I forget it might have been their second to last
Yeah.
driver was. He just didn't pick up the receiver in the flat. That's his guy.
Yeah.
And he just didn't do it. And I think that is emblematic of a
He was a
poorly
running back, right?
coached defense. I don't know. I think I don't know. But it's just emblematic of the crap job Joel Berry is doing. Like
Yeah.
it's really all it is. Like be it from wanting to run zone all year long to being forced to put people into man to then like this problems with the zone still showing up that they can't hand off players between zones ever. Like I think it's time for him to go. It really is. But like outside of that, they played well, and it's annoying because we get so upset. And I'm gonna be upset all episode because they like we're asking them to do so much that we get mad that when they mess up, we lose games. But when the problem is you shouldn't be expected to hold a team to 15 points and be on the line for them not to lose. Like it's just so frustrating. So, but it gets even more frustrating because Rashawn Gary is hurt in a boot and in crutches. Eric Stokes, I'm pretty sure, was in a boot and in crutches.
Yep.
Uh,
Aaron
Chris
Jones.
Barnes went out with a concussion, I'm pretty sure. So we said pre-pod that we were talking injuries before we got the defense. We kind of jumped the gun a little bit, so we'll go through those injuries now, just because we are. So do you have any? I guess before we do that, do you have anything else about like the defense in general? I think they all
Uh,
played relatively well outside of Darnell Savage not having a great year.
yeah. Savage. Oh,
It's bad.
it's really bad. He had one of those.
Rudy
There's the
Ford. Rudy Ford is outplaying him. Rudy Ford is outplaying him.
a guy they
They
picked
picked
him
up
up.
mid-season
Yeah.
or post cut day, I think it was.
Post cut day because everybody thought that would be a special teamer. Then you're like, oh, he might be better than our starting strong safety. Or free safety, whatever safety.
Who cares?
Everything's positionless. David Bakhtiari is going to play safety next year. So, but even Savage, his like, you know how like signature moves like exist in 2K. I'm sure
I
it
don't play
exists in
2K.
Madden. I don't play it either anymore. I'm an old man. But Darnell Savage, his tackling thing was just going like,
Dude, I'm so sick of people not wrapping up on tackling. Like,
it's him though, right?
it is him. Like, Darnell Savage just needs to wrap up. Why don't they wrap up anymore? Like,
Is he
just,
doing it because he doesn't want to get hurt because he's trying to get paid?
I
Is this
don't know,
what it?
man. I don't know. But
It is truly bizarre to see someone lunge their body at someone but don't move their arms
Yeah.
in a game called football that requires you to
Do that.
wrap people up and tackle them on the ground.
It's just
Yeah, but other than that, I thought again the defense kept them in. Like I understand all the problems with Joe Barry. I understand all the problems with just being just young and dumb because it has been the last 2 weeks. Yet again, 15 points is not that's not a lot,
no. The
and
offense needs
yet
to do it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, we'll go through some of the Devontae White got in the field today. Got 2 tackles. That's a
She
plus.
did.
I was just trying. You said young and dumb. I was like, oh, what's Devontae White up to? Injuries abound today. Like Ford Field is the bane of my existence as a football
Yes,
fan.
it
Like I
was
feel
pretty rough.
like here's we'll go through it and then we'll get mad again. Romeo Dobbs, first play of the Packers offensive drive, hurts his ankle, sprained in a boot on crutches. Christian Watson, probably another concussion. Aaron Jones in a walking boot on crutches. Rashawn Gary in a walking boot on crutches, I'm pretty sure. Didn't hear about Eric Stokes. He also had a foot injury. Chris Barnes had a concussion, likely. Dave Bakhtiari was on the sideline for most of the second half after his blunder trying to catch the ball at the end of the first half. And then, when the game mattered the most, they put him back on the field for the last drive. Now, some of you may not remember this, but I certainly do. Last year, when David Bakhtiari did not exist as a football player, weeks 1 through 17, he did not play. And then, maybe it was 16. I think he might have played one or two of the last games, or it might have been just the last game against Detroit.
Well, I think it was just last
I
game.
think it was just the
He
last
was going to
game.
play. Yeah,
So then, he played against Detroit, in Detroit, on Ford Field. Re-injures his knee. Does not play for the 49ers game. Like, that's where he re-injured it and wasn't available to play. And now, you put him, he gets hurt again, he hurts his knee again on Ford Field. And then, just because the game mattered the most, like, I get it, it's a do or die game, like, that's the point. But there's still season left after this. You put him back in for the one drive. He didn't get hurt. Hopefully, he didn't get hurt again. But what's the point in not letting him play the entire second half, only to put him in when it really matters? If he's going to have to play the last
because
drive,
nothing matters.
Godless rock to steal
Yeah.
Andrew Snyder's term from cruising for a bruising. Godless rock. So the Packers
Next week he'll be kicking into that big net the kickers kick in because he's going to be lining up for a 53-yard field goal. That's what's going to happen.
positionless football. Positionless football.
But to your point too, we're talking about penalties. We're talking about the Jair Alexander, that Bakhtiari is all that is very different to those penalties. But it just again pulls into just like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What do you like? What are you signing off and what isn't? Because we talked about this a couple weeks ago when he goes from playing all of like his first 2 games back, then just not playing at all.
Yep.
And it's like it's stuff like that that's just like, what? Who really is running this team?
Yep. I think that's a great transition into who we think is running this team. And we're pretty fucking sure this episode has been marked explicit twice. We are pretty fucking sure it's Aaron Rodgers. And he stinks. He's bad. It was just embarrassing today. I think the Rodgers of old that we all like know and loved from the mid 2000s and 2011 and all of it is no longer there. Like even last year and the year before that
I was
with
going
his
to say
MVPs.
he was an MVP last year, and I don't think I've ever seen an MVP who has played games.
Right.
We're not talking about someone who has had a serious injury occur to them.
Right.
He is playing games and is awful.
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 It's just
an impediment to them.
And we talked about it, but 9 points on offense is just not acceptable. It just really isn't. And to go over his stats again briefly, 23 for 43, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. we need to talk about these interceptions. They're not good. The common theme, and I'm sick of hearing about the thumb. I'm so sick of hearing about the thumb. If the thumb is actually the issue, he shouldn't be playing because now it's causing like actual detriment to the team and cause them to lose games. If he can't throw the ball at the proper height to hit his receiver in the numbers, then he should be playing.
Everything was short
Everything it's
today.
been short for weeks,
Everything.
Jordan. It's been short for weeks. And today was like the perfect amalgamation and like the button on the present that is the the stinker of Rodgers' season so far of why that thumb he should be just be sitting if it hurts so bad. The first
Yep.
interception, low throw to hit that dude in the helmet, popped it up, interception. There was a fourth down play, I think to Sammy Watkins on the second drive, where Sammy Watkins just went
Yes.
straight in,
Yep.
throws it low. He has to go down and pick it up. If he throws it at his numbers, it's a first down, easy money. He couldn't. It was at his shoelaces. He had to go down and pick it up and drops it. Like that's not a Sammy Watkins drop. That is an Aaron Rodgers misthrow. Like,
Yep.
and don't come talk to me about if the receiver gets his hands on it, he has to make the play. When you're running full speed at the bend down to have your
Well, that
chest perpendicular parallel to the turf, it's hard to make the play. Like, just make the receiver's job easy and put it on the numbers. It's simple.
yeah.
And so,
I mean,
go ahead.
you keep going through the interceptions. I'll save my thought.
So then, um, his second one to David Bakhtiari, same thing. Like the play itself sucked. Like it's not good. And
Sucks.
we have a something
What
from
down was that again?
I'll
That
look.
wasn't fourth down, was it?
I don't think so. It was, I think, first down. Yeah. No, I lied. I'm at the wrong thing. Uh, no, it was fourth down. It was fourth down.
Oh my god.
That's like another about the coaching thing. We our like goal to go and like short yardage distance plays are horrendous. Like we have
It's been like
nothing
this for
all
all of
season.
LaFleur's time too. I
That
remember
right.
like the first couple of games into his first year, it was against the Eagles, and they had they're on the goal line, and they could not punch it in. They had multiple plays on the
Yeah.
goal line, could not punch it.
And
Ugh.
so the stupid interception of David Bakhtiari, like Jordan said earlier, he's backpedaling, throwing it, and then throws it short right into Aiden Hutchinson's arms. Like, albeit great play by Aiden Hutchinson to recognize what was going on and be ready for that play. But at the same time, just throw it a little farther to David Bakhtiari to where only he can catch it. If you overthrow him, I'm fine with it. At least you didn't underthrow him.
Kind of
Because,
like how you did, all throughout his Packers time when
right.
David Bakhtiari is running out to the end zone, right?
But like that's a critical decision. If you overthrow it and it falls incomplete on fourth down, the line gets the ball at the 1 yard line. If he underthrows it and intercepted, it goes up to the 20, which like it was a 3-and-out ensuing anyways, or they punt it anyways. It ended up not mattering. But it's the decision making, right? Like put it where only your quote unquote receiver can catch it. At that point,
The problem with this is that it is a fourth down.
right? We should have had this conversation.
It's fourth down, and I understand he doesn't have faith in his wide receivers. I don't have faith in him as well. But the problem is you still do it all the time. You throw it to a wide receiver that
Right.
is capable and knows how to run a route.
Throw it to Samori
Well, then-
Toure. He should be in the game at that point. If you're going to throw to somebody who can catch the
Well,
ball.
that is the thing. I mean, a lot of today, I saw guys breaking free, had a lot
Yeah.
of space around them.
I was so mad. I forget what play it was, but they said during the game before Christian Watson got hurt that Christian Watson was running downfield. Like he was running routes downfield. They just couldn't get it to him. It's just like, man, like I really
There was
wish.
one that he missed of Lazard down the middle, but I think it was one that he eventually got sacked. And it's like he is staring at him,
Yeah.
and then it's just going
He
where are the reads, and then just plays over.
Before we get to that part, I have more to talk about that. I'm going to talk about this Bakhtiari play. This is from
Please
Tom. This is from Tom Silverstein's
Oh yes.
column post game. This is sort of emblematic, and I'm about to get so mad reading this. Of like the Packers season. It's a really good set of 4 paragraphs here. So everything I say from this point on until the end of the quote is from Spoon's column. LaFleur wants more motion. Rodgers wants less. LaFleur likes the quarterback under center. Rodgers likes shotgun. LaFleur needs Rodgers to be patient and supportive of the young receivers. And Rodgers suggested after the game they need more hurry up and believes in tough love. Does anyone really think LaFleur came up with a tackle eligible play that called for Rodgers to throw the ball to David Bakhtiari, a guy who can barely practice during the week because of the 4 surgeries he's had on his left knee? Rodgers and Bakhtiari are best friends, and yeah, it would have fired up everyone if Bakhtiari were to score. But this is a must-win game on a 4th and goal at the 1. Maybe throw it to Lazard or Tunyon. That would have made more sense. Yeah, or sorry, quote. Yeah, I would, end quote. Lazard said of wanting the ball in that situation. Quote. But that's but that's regardless if it's first, second, third, 4th and goal. It doesn't matter. I think that's just my competitive nature. I always want to help the team. End quote. End story. Shout out Tom Silverstein. That is an absolute like put that 4 paragraphs to the ether beat, like from Nas, and just let it cook. Because that is so emblematic of why I think Rodgers just needs to go. I really think that is like this is when push comes to shove, is that the honeymoon era between Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers is now over. 3 years, 3 NFC or 2 NFC championship games, and an NFC divisional game, all for naught. All great seasons, winning Super Bowls hard in football. We get that. It's past that point now. Doesn't buy into LaFleur's offense anymore, and is now making up plays at the goal line. It seems if Tom Silverstein is right about it, which I think he might be. I would not be shocked if that was Rodgers' call, because if I'm not mistaken, that
Their
might have been the
timeout before
play.
that.
If I'm not mistaken, that might have been the play when they sent AJ Dillon out. When Aaron
Yes.
Rodgers sent AJ Dillon out of the huddle, brought in Aaron Jones, and then threw it to Bakhtiari. Like, if he's sending people in and out of the huddle for his own play calls, that's a problem. Like I, like the offense is needs to be such at a base level at this point that he should not be audibling at the line as often as he does. Because at this point, I laughed during because we talked about it during the Discord. Join Discord, gsp.info. That Rodgers audibling the play for a 3 yard screen is driving me insane this year. It's driving me up a fucking wall.
Well, how
Like,
many times did the play? There are so many times during this game that the play clock hits zero. It should be a delay of game. They
oh,
should have committed like
absolutely,
10 delay
absolutely.
of games. And inevitably, all but I don't think any of them were called
Nope,
today.
nope, they weren't.
And it's stuff like that. It's like Aaron Rodgers, this is not anything new. This is how he runs the offense.
Always.
He burns through timeouts because he doesn't like what he sees right before they're about to call a snap, or maybe there's disguising coverage defensively. Who the hell cares?
Mm-hmm.
But this is how he does it. So the very person that says we have to hurry it up more, we have to do all these things to do it. He is the one that is
That's
ultimately
a
the
great
person that
point.
has. You know what I mean? It's like that doesn't make sense at all.
Oh my god, that's a great point. He wants more hurry up, but the last play of the game, coming out of a timeout, it's 4th down. It like they're
Well, even there
the
was a
last
quote
play of the
too.
game. The clock,
Yes,
the play clock hit zeros, and that was the
yes.
last play of the game, coming out of a fucking timeout. How does that happen? How are you
There
running the
was
play clock down to zeros, scrambling to snap the ball when you're coming out of a timeout, Jordan? It doesn't make any sense.
no. There was a quote that Aaron Andrews had early in the game. I think this is after the first pick. So the double doink pick
Double doink.
off of Derek Barnes. That guy, whoever Derek Barnes is, I've never heard of this guy before today.
He was
He
good.
he had a hell of a game.
Him and Kirby Joseph, really good day
Yes.
today for the Lions.
Akuda too.
Yep.
Barracuda.
Okay, Hart.
Uh,
Let's chill out here.
but no, Aaron Andrews had this quote from Aaron Rodgers that he so desperately wants to help the team that he is putting it on his shoulders. He wants to have more of agency calling passes and wants to throw more and all that stuff. And then he's the very one that says or is doing all this tough love to his receivers. He doesn't trust his wide receivers, and the one that he trusts the most, Alan Lazard, had a
Snakes.
very meh game. Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that that just like we've seen this in this playbook before when things have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Um, we talked about this before the game. They kept showing this 3 interception game that he had against the Panthers at the end of the 2017 season, which, if any Packer fans remember, was when he returned from being hurt. I think from a collarbone. Yeah, it was the collarbone injury, and comes back. It was the Brett Hundley year. It was just a year from hell, but the Packers are still somehow in the playoff conversation, like with 2 weeks to go.
Because the NFC North
And
was bad, was why.
yes, that's the other thing. It's always bad.
Not this year. We got one good
Not
team.
yeah. And he comes back and just has a stinker of a game, and that's it. And it's stuff like that where it's like I feel like when things are going wrong, he puts it even more on his shoulders. And that, as you said, that was okay for Aaron Rodgers in 2010.
Yeah.
That was okay in 2015, the run the table year, the relax year, all these things. Even when they come out of a terrible first game last year, or I don't know, like take any other example. This is not the same Aaron Rodgers.
Nope.
He does. It's true. He does not have the same weapons. He also just is not the same. Whether it's this thumb injury that is just constantly kept playing up, but it's been true of his play all year.
Right.
That he has just not had it to the same degree, and maybe it's because he's taking it extra long in training camps, or it could be a whole sort of factors of why things are the way they are.
Right.
But at this point, there's really nothing to be gained watching Aaron Rodgers throw fits after.
Oh my god, it drove me up a wall. It drove me so insane today. Watching him throw his temper tantrums behind the line of scrimmage made me so angry. So incredibly angry. And they're
It's like
they had like the cameras are so good in football now, which like I'm not complaining. Like I'm glad they have the cameras to do. It makes for a great watching experience. They catch Rodgers saying all the shit he says behind the line, and at one point I think he yelled at Samari Toure to catch the freaking ball. It's like, no, Rodgers, you threw it low. Throw the fucking ball.
It was the
it's
one.
Not
It was
his fault.
It was the one
Sorry,
where
it's
he
not
threw.
Samari's fault.
Yes, it was the one where he threw a deep ball that would have been a touchdown, and the safety that Kirby Joseph safety made a play on it because it was underthrown.
Yeah, he just doesn't have it anymore. Like for whatever reason, he cannot throw the ball long anymore, and like that's one of the main issues. Like that ball should have been a touchdown. Should have been dropped right in the basket of Samari Toure. It wasn't. It was underthrown. The Tunyon throw was thrown behind him, and that's why Kirby Joseph could get that interception. He just can't place the ball like he used to. That part of his game is just gone for whatever reason. He can't throw it properly anymore. I should say properly. He can't throw it on target anymore. He can't throw it as far as he used to anymore. And that's, I think, the main reason he's having such a horrendous year.
Yep.
And frankly, like, I've just about had it with him. We're 3-6. Sorry, they're 3-6. I'm not part of this team. I should say we should be.
You have ownership in this team.
We shouldn't be using the first person pronouns when it comes to teams like this.
Unless you have Packers stock.
I don't. The Packers are 3-6, and as we talked about all season, the upcoming schedule is tough. Like truthfully, we go Dallas at home next week, Tennessee at home on Thursday night, and then at Philly. I might just be ready to throw Rodgers out in these next 3 games to let him play the tough teams, and then put Jordan Love in for Chicago, LA, Miami, Minnesota, Detroit. See what we have in Jordan Love, because I don't feel like watching an Aaron Rodgers throw temper tantrums for what 8 more weeks. Like it's just it won't be enjoyable to watch a football game like that.
Yeah.
And so like
I am.
And what does he give you? Does he really give you that much? If
No.
Say they went out, say on the off chance that a miracle happens, they went out 10-6. they're not doing anything in the playoffs. They're not a complete enough team. They don't have the defensive coaching to do it. They don't have
No,
like unless
on the weapons.
the weapons too. Like they'll get stomped in the playoffs. And at this point, with all the injuries they have, like it's not even like it's a pipe dream. It's a literal pipe dream to think this team is making the playoffs this year. So the best case scenario is that that he gets you to what? We'll say 6-10, 7-9, or no, 6-11, 7-10. At that point, all you're doing is tanking your draft pick. Like I hate to be the draft pick guy this middle part of the season, but it's time to start looking like this, right? Like I don't know what you would draft at because right now they have a top 8 pick. I don't know what you draft at 8 to make them a significantly better team besides a quarterback. But like I liked last year's wide receivers more than I like this year's. I'm not a draft expert, but like I know that last year there was a lot of wide receivers, and we'll see about this year. But I just don't like. What do you do? So I
Yeah,
would rather just see what Jordan to bring it back. I would rather just see what Jordan Love is like. If he goes and wins us a couple games, hey, maybe we give Aaron Rodgers for a song, just a bad song. See if the see if the Colts want to take the train to have another old Asian quarterback lead their team to the playoffs. See if the Lions want him. See if the Falcons want him. See if any team willing to give us like a 4th round pick for Rodgers wants him. Like that's really all I'm looking for. Because with all due respect, it's been a wonderful ride over the years.
it's been real.
I think it's time. I think it's time to happen. I really do. And not to be preachy and to be like hindsight, when they drafted Jordan Love and he was all mad, Rodgers was, and there was like rumblings of him getting traded to Detroit or to Denver then, I was like, it's tough. I don't want to do it, but maybe we should kind of thing. Like, whatever, whatever. Went on to have 2 more MVP seasons. It would have sucked then. But in football, you always want to get out a year ahead rather than a year late.
You're
And we're now a
you're
year
behind.
late.
Yep.
And so, like, Ty and Adam and Rohan talked about it, but like, imagine the Packers got what they got for Russell Wilson. Like, last offseason, that'd have been crazy. Like, we'd be upset about it after 2 MVP seasons, but man, it looks good now. And so, yeah, I think I'm trotting out Rodgers to play 2 playoff teams and a Tennessee Titans team that's on the brink of beating the Chiefs right now in the 4th quarter to timestamp when we're recording this. But I would just trot Rodgers out in the next 3 weeks, see if he has anything left to give, and then play Jordan Love. Well, Rodgers might just retire at that point because he's above being benched, which whatever. We'll get. Also, we'll see if Ken Engels will come on the podcast in the offseason and see what the implications of that would be. Uh, but man, I'm I'm out on Rodgers. I think he needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, I have. I think just the direction of the season just says it all. I mean, you look at down in Chicago. I mean, the Bears are not that great, but you're at least seeing a quarterback of the future starting to flourish,
Yeah,
and they are making investments in him. That's the thing about like, yeah, the Packers wide receiver core is really young. It sure would be interesting what how Jordan Love would play with them. I'm not saying it would
yeah.
be any better, but if we're talking about like
It can't be
three and
worse.
it can't be worse. I mean, they're 3-6, and Rodgers belittles them with each passing week,
Yeah,
and it's a two-way street. Like it's not, like that's where like pulling that eject cord to me has always been. I probably pulled it so many times at this point because Packers just disappointed me beyond belief.
right,
Like it's just a matter of expectations. If
right.
if we were sitting here 3-6 with Jordan Love under center, yeah, he's going to take his lumps. I'm not saying he's a perfect
No,
developmental quarterback. He might not even be a starting caliber player.
right.
But again, the Lions are kind of the perfect example of like they have a direction with what they are doing, and it's going to take a long time before they get something right. They don't even have Justin Fields in place.
No,
But Jared Goff is pretty darn competent. I know he didn't really look
right.
like that today.
Yeah, he's like the definition of just like a competent quarterback. He had he
And they
had he
have
had
a
bad balls today. Don't get me wrong, but like
yeah, and they have a blue chip wide receiver who probably won't play this year because I wouldn't
I'd
expect
say they
them
have two. They have
to.
Amon
Yes,
Ross St. Brown and
and
Jameson
Jameson Williams,
Williams.
and it's
Like
stuff like that that's like it's great seeing Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon do what they do in the run game, and I just want to see Christian Watson healthy for a full game and just
yep,
get. He gets these opportunities and he does well, and then just like immediately just something bad happens. Romeo Dobbs the same thing,
right.
but it's like the rubber is already meeting the road where you have tried to thread this needle and all this stuff of two tracks and blah blah blah. It's like no, this is the team that you have.
Yep.
This is the team that's going to carry you. Matt LaFleur is going to be sticking around longer than Aaron Rodgers is.
I would rather
So
have Matt LaFleur and company. Well, Matt LaFleur and like Brian Gutekunst and like Russ Ball and all of them like around longer than I want Rodgers around. Like I'm at the point in right now where I think I trust Matt LaFleur more than Aaron Rodgers, given that Rodgers is taking over so much of the offense and running away from what Matt LaFleur wants to do as a coach.
yeah,
Like we've had the discussions about like what the hell is Matt LaFleur doing with this offense. I think this week is really showing that it's Aaron Rodgers taking
it's
taking the reins and just driving it into the ground.
yeah.
Man, what a crap week of football.
Yes.
Do you have anything else to say?
Um. No, I mean, I think this is just kind of we're there.
Yeah.
We're there, and that is the irony of just like um I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that they are going. I think when we were finishing the last pod, I was like, they're gonna win eventually.
And
It's just
remember, I
like
told you to knock on wood.
I know.
Remember, I told you to knock on all the wood because he said they're going to win eventually. And now we're getting to the
I
tough part
don't
of the
know if they're gonna
season.
win with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback or Jordan Love. That's the problem.
The problem is right now is that there's a chance they win the rest of the way.
Don't say that. Don't do that.
Jordan, they face Dallas, which like at home, they're a good football team. They have Zeke Elliott, and if they're as banged up, like if they don't get any of these players who went out this week back next week, which it sounds like they might, because if you're on crutches and in a boot walking out of the stadium, 6 days is not a lot of time to recover.
No. And
So,
then they have a Thursday night game.
yep. So they face Dallas next week at home. Short week against the Titans, at Philly, and then at Chicago. Like I don't know if they can beat Chicago right now. I'm not gonna say that they could beat the Lions. I'm not gonna say
Yeah,
it.
anything's on the table at this point.
But then they go home against the Rams, who lost in tragic fashion to the Buccaneers today. In Miami, who are fighting for a playoff spot. At home versus the Vikings, and then at home versus Detroit. Like, there's not a lot of opportunity there for wins, in my opinion. Maybe one or two. If they play
No,
like they have been, which is bad football.
bad football.
But, yeah, that's it. it's just it's just not good.
No, not at all.
You have nothing else about. We didn't get to see Pat O'Donnell today, I don't think. I think I might have saw him once or twice.
No, there was not a lot of Pat O'Donnell.
I gotta go back. Did we punt today?
Yes, we did.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we did. Definitely early.
Like we punted one time. The ensuing kickoff of the first drive out of the half. One pound on a punt. Remember he was gonna make our special teams good. He was gonna kick the ball in the winter. Yeah,
Don't even.
in the frozen tundra of
This
Level
is
Field, the
this
playoffs,
is
Pat
this is the
O'Donnell was gonna
thing.
make sure that Corey Vorkes didn't punt away our playoff and Super Bowl chances.
This
Jordan.
is what really irked me about like Rich Bacassi. This is no. Just I'm not trying to belittle the man,
Which like I don't
but
think they're doing bad. They're not the reason the Packers are losing the
No,
ball
it's far from it. But
game.
it was like everybody is talking about a very specific problem to the 2021 Green Bay Packers, but we had no
Yeah.
idea what the 2022 Green Bay Packers were. And guess what? Turns out they're shit.
Turns out they're shit.
So
All right.
so it's like
Yeah.
Rich Piscassi is not gonna solve it.
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah.
But alas, that's it. We have some good news. Let's take 2 seconds just to breathe in, breathe out, kind of stuff. Because there's good news. We got some promotions to go on. Uh, First and foremost, Jordan, if I'm not mistaken, you have a most recent episode of Win in Six on the feeds as of last Thursday, correct?
Yes, you'd be correct. Talking about
Mm.
the undefeated Milwaukee Bucks. It's a little dated, but they're
Undefeated,
still
never
undefeated.
lost.
Exactly. A
Never
team that doesn't
lost.
lose.
I think they're 9-0, right?
Yes.
I really selfishly want them to make it to 10-0 because I like that nice round number, even though it doesn't really matter in like the grand scheme of things. It would just be cool. But they're already the hottest start in franchise history.
Yes.
I don't think any other Bucks team has ever started 9-0.
Nope.
Giannis MVP is going to come, so go listen to Win in Six. But also, um, you're listening to this Monday morning. If you're a loyal listener, we appreciate you. Uh, Ty Rohan should be wrapping up recording Eurostep right now, and that'll be in the Bucks feed today as well. Their regular Monday pod that they've committed to doing pretty much every Monday to get on a more regular schedule, which is always nice because we love them boys. Love 1 and 6. Love Eurostep.
We love them boys.
We love them boys. And then Adam and Andrew record another episode of Cruising for a Bruising this week. Mailbag, I'm pretty sure. So go listen to that to get up to date on the latest Brewers news. Astros won the World Series. I was down horrendous. Screw the Astros. But that's not all, folks. We have one more announcement,
Oh.
and it's an exciting announcement. You've seen my fresh strip. You've seen my sweatshirt with one random facade on the front of the sweatshirt. You've seen my flag in the background. I turned the wrong way. You've also seen Jordan's shirt if you're watching the YouTube. We're flaunting our merch with the Taco Tundra name on the very nice t-shirt. You've seen my random facade flag back here with the Taco Tundra logo up here. Very random facade, not a specific facade in general at all. All of this and more can be yours now. Talk of the Tundra merch is now live on gspnstore.com. You can go to gspn.info to find the link to the store. Like I said, gspnstore.com. A lot of good stuff in there. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, glasses, stickers,
Pillows.
pillows, the flags. They got big flags too that go like way longer and wider than this small one does. I got the littlest one, and it's like 4.5 feet wide. It's a square, I think, but it's really nice. Like the sweatshirts are super comfy. Like
super comfy.
They're really cozy. Like they're really
cozy, airy too. It's not too bunches up.
Yeah, it's really
very
good.
Nice.
So go get yourself some Talk of the Tundra merch, but also we're gonna plug that Win in Six has purple merch now.
Purple
merch, and it is clean. It is so clean, so clean. So, Talk of Tundra listeners, if you go to the gspnstore.com, purchase yourself a couple little Christmas gifts, maybe some loungewear for the winter, because despite it being 60 degrees all week this week, winter is coming. We are on our Game of Thrones shit. It is coming. It's gonna be cold through November 14th. So you have a week from when you're listening to this. If you use promo code TOTT, TOTT in all caps, 10% off in the store on your Talk of the Tundra merch.
10% off on TOTT?
On TOTT.
Ooh.
So go get your merch, folks. We would really appreciate it. Like we said, we ordered a bunch of it just to test it out. Really comfy stuff. Go get it. Wear it. Flaunt it. If you get some and wear it, at me on Twitter at Numac is known. At Jordan
Yes.
Tresky, we'll retweet it. We'll praise you. We'll thankfully thank you for purchasing us our stuff and listening to the pod. So, um, thank you all for listening to this podcast of us just ranting about how much the Packers frustrate us and how Aaron Rodgers probably shouldn't be a Packer no more. We appreciate your loyalty and your overarching support through these hard times. Jordan, you got anything else to say?
No, I am. This is we're in the circle, the tot circle.
Yes, we are.
Anybody's walking around the circle. Welcome.
We're all in this together. All right. Thanks, folks, and thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.